Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I'm just being me, immersed in a world of snowboard gear polyamory, and today I'm talking about the 32 TM-2 lace. Next to it is the TM-2 BOA. Same exact boot everywhere, except just double BOA instead of lace. On the other side, you have the Ride Fuse lace with BOA and traditional lace. And then you have the Nitro Team TLS, which is a speed lace. Let's talk snowboard dating app. Some things that'll make you want to swipe right. Traditional lace is super reliable. 32 has a very burly, well done construction that will retain this flex and allow this boot to last a long time. It has good response and a nice balance between pretty solid shock absorption while still having good board feel. Some things that'll make you want to swipe left. These boots are best for narrow feet in the regular size and really wide feet in the wide size in BOA and traditional lace. I rode this in some hard snow, some decent groomers, and a little bit of powder. I even did a little bit of uphill travel with my drift board bindings on Union Rovers. Same for the BOA. I tested these with a wide variety of boards, and as you know, we put out honest, objective, unbiased reviews without any brand oversight, and we can do that thanks to the support of shops like Blower Board Shop. They have a strong presence online, so if you want to support the Good Ride and keep objective reviews flowing, check out Blower Board Shop, click through our links, and see if something works for you there. When it comes to weight, both of these are 2 pounds, whether you get BOA or traditional lace, in comparison to 2 pounds with my Fuse, and the Nitro Team are 2.2 pounds. I don't usually see much lighter than 1.8 pounds, and I don't see much heavier than 2.4 pounds. When it comes to sizing, these fit my size 9 boots in length really well. They might be a touch on the smaller side. I forgot to mention that in the BOA review, but they're probably only a quarter size small. So when these pack out, they're gonna fit perfectly. When it comes to width, these run very narrow. They were too tight on the sides. My Ride Fuse boots were a little narrow for me at first, but after a good heat mold, I pressed out this area, which was more dense, and that's what gave me my relief. Now, I also tried the TM-2 lace wide and the TM-2 double BOA wide. Those were a bit too wide for me, but they were comfortable day one. My feet didn't go to sleep. They just had a lot more space on either side. All of them have a narrower toe box, even the wides, which is interesting. The widest part of your foot, let's say this is your metatarsal, these are your toes. It's really wide right here, but then instead of having a wide toe box like the Ride Fuse do, the Nitro Teams are narrow too. They were narrow in here, and that wasn't that ideal. Now, when it comes to adjustability, nothing beats traditional lace. I also love that this is a shorter lace, so these laces don't go everywhere. My Ride Fuse have really long laces. I even had to double tie this up top. I do like the rungs of these just as much as I like the rungs on the TM-2s. They hold really secure, really firm, and they snap in, so you can adjust the bottom to whatever tightness you want. Then each rung you can adjust accordingly. In comparison to the double BOA, you have one for upper and one for lower, which I love, but it's not quite as good as this. This is the pinnacle of adjustability. If you need heel hold though, I found that my Ride Fuse were better because this BOA controls this area inside your boot and really wraps around your heel to hold it secure. One thing that's cool though is you have these inserts, a thin one and a thick one. You put them in here, they really tighten up your heel, and that might do the trick for most. Another thing that's interesting when it comes to getting these on and off, I found that traditional lace with these boots was faster than my Ride Fuse not anywhere near as fast as the Team TLS. That you just pull, it's really fast on. But I would say the BOA is about the same or just a touch faster than traditional lace getting on, because it takes a long time to twist these. You have to do that on upper and lower, but when it comes time to getting these off, this is much faster than the traditional lace TM-2. So don't be afraid of the lace, especially if you want adjustability and reliability, because if you break a BOA, you can put these in your pocket and finish your day. These are strap ends, and they've saved me many a time when a BOA broke or a binding strap broke. I could just slap these over the BOA. And it's good to even have these if you have traditional laces, just in case the lace breaks and you don't have time to tie it. You just pull one of these out of your pockets, wrap it around your boot, and away you go. But then after the day's over, you have to put this in the shop or send it back to 32 for repair. With these, you just get a new lace and it's done. Same with these. If this BOA breaks, you can still live and ride. With the Team TLS, if this breaks, you can just put traditional laces through this and not have the quick release. Now, when it comes to flex and response, I would say this is definitely very stiff. It doesn't quite feel as stiff on snow. I think the response doesn't quite match the flex. Same with the TM-2. The Ride Fuse, this is much older, but this still retained a lot of its flex after a lot of days, and it held up really well, but they're very similar in flex. With the Team, this is very stiff as well, but these have good response. These were pretty responsive, so are these, but when you're on snow, these 32s don't feel quite as responsive. But what I like about all these boots, especially the 32 TM-2, is all the flexed retention technology. I would say this is one of my favorites because they have this really articulating cuff. Look how far this goes out. It really goes all the way back to here. And when you have an articulating cuff, it doesn't distort the shell, which is great on your forward flex, so it doesn't squeeze out wide here. But it also retains the flex for a long time. Then on top of that, they have a nice hard rubber, almost plastic backstay. I love that they have this back part. I didn't mention this in the TM-2 BOA, but it's nice and soft, and it's not bad if you're going to occasionally split board, or you just like a little more feel on the back, because the high backs usually come up to here anyways, so then it doesn't give you that uncomfortable calf bite. You also have some reinforcement here, and you have this burly rubber material throughout to help keep this shell in place. You've got a little help in the liner, but not as much as, let's say, the Focus BOA or the really high-end 32 liners. Those have rubber throughout most of the liner inside that really helps retain the flex even longer, but it's not as comfortable as these, and it takes a lot more tweaking to get it dialed out to your foot and ankles and shins. As it stands though, this is excellent. It's right there with the Ride Fuse that has this really hard rubber backstay, has an articulation point here, but then also has a rubber-like tongue that retains its flex forever. The Nitro Team does the same thing with articulation right here, but not in a overlapping shell like this. This just has neoprene along here. It has a really hard rubber bordering on plastic backstay too, and has good flex retention as well. When it comes to shock absorption, I was really surprised that a boot with such a thin sole had so much shock absorption. It's exponentially better than my Ride Fuse that looks like it would be more shock absorbent, but it has a very stiff sole. But it's also a good bit behind the Team TLS. This airbag makes this really cush and shock absorbent, but it doesn't quite have the board feel that the Fuse does and the TM-2 does, which surprised me. these two have the same, so we're not gonna talk about this. I really liked the balance of board feel and shock absorption. It gives you a little of each. Now, traction is one bummer here. This black part is all EVA foam, the Team TLS with Vibram. The sole of my Ride Fuse initially was much more slippery than the TM-2, but once this wore down like by about 1 millimeter, I just scraped it away. I think they had a weird coating on the outside. This sole did better than this. When it comes to footprint, I found that all of these are pretty close to each other, but all of them are a little bit behind the most reduced boots out there, Burton. When I compared footprint with these against my Burton boots, I found that they were about 5 millimeters longer in footprint than Burton. And if they fit you properly, these are pretty warm. They're not super warm, but they're good enough. When it comes to the insole, I could not get into these ridges. I just didn't like the feel. I'm not into factory insoles with any brand though, but these for me personally were just a little worse than your average stock insole. You really want to step it up and buy an aftermarket insole from like Footprint, Game Changers, or any of their stuff is really good. Or you could step it up and spend a grip of cash, but get something that'll work for you for a long time that's totally molded to your foot like this one is for me from Sansole. This is an amazing insole, but it costs almost as much as the boots. So overall, I really like this boot and I recommend this boot a lot, especially people who have a really narrow foot width or have a really wide foot width. In traditional lace and BOA, they make regulars and wides for both. And 32s spent a lot of time over the last few years really upping their boot game to make these boots last a long time, not 32 days like the old joke used to be. These are amazing boots nowadays. And I've had some friends who've ridden these and they just last a really long time.